live here on the Run Pure Sports YouTube channel. I got my normal partner with me here, Mr. Big T, ready to talk some NBA Finals. Big T, you ready to talk some hoops here on a Thursday?
Yeah, it's been a long week with no hoops. Obviously, the NBA season goes a long time. We love the hoops. Even March Madness, I love. I love the basketball. That's obviously over. The playoffs are over. We're in the home stretch, and the last week sucked. It makes you realize how much you like NBA and stuff. Baseball, I mean, I like playing DFS baseball. Won the belt back there on DFS baseball, but I don't like it as much as basketball, I'll be honest. I'll put the stuff in there. I do decent at it, but don't like it as much. I am excited for tonight, though. We got a Millie Maker, $25 Millie Maker, which I'm sure the talk is, can it be unique, blah, blah, blah. It doesn't really matter. If you chop 10, 20 ways, you're going to be plenty happy tonight. Who knows, though? Maybe we come up with something during the show that can get a little more unique. Because the one nights, like during a lot of the time, I've just learned to play it a little safer and not try to go too crazy. But on a $25 Millie Maker night, it's a decent option to take a few weird stabs just in case something happens. Maybe you win $1 million. I mean, imagine how fun that would be, winning $1 million off 25 on game one of the finals. It would be very good.
Yeah, I would have no complaints. I do love how, Tony's like, yeah, baseball, not my thing really. But here's the belt behind me, just for anyone, just so you know, the belt's there, aka world champion. But I don't like baseball. I don't really like it. But I will say, what you mean by that is more like, from a viewing perspective, we much prefer to sweat out NBA than baseball. Like, that's just the truth. Like,
I will say one thing about baseball, though, that I actually really enjoy is that you don't have to watch it. You can score watch and see when your guy hits a bomb, see when.
That's true.
It's easier to score watch than NBA. Like NBA, I like to watch it. Baseball, not as much.
The only thing I will say is, if you lock a pitcher or something like that, then maybe you want to watch the first 5 innings, because you want to see if he dominates. Because if you lock a pitcher in baseball, and he does well, you kind of want to see that first couple innings. But I agree with you, for the most part, scoring, you kind of just can see if they're bombs or hits, updates. That's easy to do without actually watching the game. But for hoops, we like to watch the games. We like to see what's going on. And I will say, Tony, the one thing that sucked about all of this, well, there's 2 things. There's actually 2 things that sucked. One, the NBA made me wait pretty much a week before this damn thing started, which is absolutely ridiculous. And I know there's reasons why. I don't care. I should not have to wait a week for this NBA Finals to start, because what it subjected me to on Twitter and some of the news that we had to go through to get to this NBA Finals was ridiculous. I heard more WNBA talk than I ever want to hear for the rest of my life the last week. And I don't care who it's about. It was terrible. It was torture. I held myself back so many times of sending tweets because I just can't stand it. I don't want to hear about one girl hip checking the other girl or pushing her down or whatever. Stop. I don't care. I do not care. I don't want to hear about WNBA. I don't want to listen to it. I just don't care for either side of the. I don't care if Stephen A. Smith talks more about WNBA than any other talk show. I don't care, Tony. I just don't want to hear it anymore.
Yeah, I just don't listen to it. I mean, you still haven't even watched Caitlin Clark play.
I haven't. No, I haven't. I will say I've now seen that video of her getting pushed down, multiple times, obviously.
It's a bad. You realize how weak the summer is when you got a non-golf major week with just baseball. It's tough in those streets. It's tough. We at least got a major next week and the finals. So the next 2 weeks is going to be nice. And a lot of people bitch about the 3 days, like Jerry Stack's in there, 3 days. I don't mind the bigger gap in the finals, just because I like to space it out a little bit. I don't know. I want to enjoy the last series.
It kind of builds up the anticipation to a little bit, right, Tony? I would actually be fine with 3 days for, is it 3 days for every game
I
in
just want to
between?
know if this is the head chopper is all I want. Or is it an imposter or is it actually him?
We love
Chop,
Chop.
is it you?
We love Chop. Hopefully that's the real Chop
It looks like
in
him,
the
but they
chat.
might be impersonating him. It could be a troll account or something. I mean, you
Well,
don't
how
get a
would
face
you
like that. Look at that face. Look
but
how
how
good he
would you
looks.
know, even if he said it's me, how would you know for sure it's him?
How do we verify, Chop? I mean, how do we know for sure it's you?
All
What would
right,
we know that no one else knows?
send Tony a text message in the next like minute and a half, or we'll know it's not you.
We need to get Chop on a show for the finals. Chop, we need to
Yeah.
get you on for one of these shows. Maybe next week they play Wednesday, Friday. Maybe Wednesday
Yep.
next week we need Chop on.
I love it. We'll get Chop on. You guys can do like the old school showdown, and I'll put my feet up and listen. I'll just put
Yeah,
my feet up and listen.
vintage.
Yeah, get a little vintage Big T and
I
Chop.
haven't done shows with Chop in at least 3 or 4 years. People still always like, when are you going to do more shows with Head Chopper? Fun shows.
Yeah,
Chop, I miss you.
those were memorable shows. Even I like those shows. I was a big fan of those
What do you
shows.
mean?
Though
Even I
everyone
like
liked it.
those shows. That's a slight to me and Chop. Even like you're not supposed to like it.
Well, let's be honest. I don't watch any other shows except I never watched other shows, so I don't watch other content. I
Do you
literally
believe this,
just
Head Chop? Do you believe this is what I got to deal
I'm
with?
giving you guys credit. I said I watched your shows. I don't watch any other shows. That's credit. You guys should be like, "Oh, wow, that's nice praise coming from you, JSU, since you don't watch any other fucking shows, but I did watch your Showdown shows." But whatever, fine. Don't take it then. Fuck both of you. Okay? I think
I
you guys
like that.
both
That
suck.
sounds better. I like that.
Chop, I'm just kidding. I don't think you suck, but this guy over here, you know how it is. You got to deal with them all the time. When you got to deal with them all the time, it's tough. It's a tough scene sometimes. So I got to listen to him, but at least I get to listen to you break down some hoops, which is not as bad as some of your other takes. So especially when there's no bias in these
I love
takes,
the no
because
bias too, honestly. I enjoyed that last series, and I had Minnesota, so I lost money. I think I actually won money overall because I had Dallas some of the games, but I just enjoyed not having any rooting interest. I just watched it for just the pure entertainment, basketball wise. And I'm going to really enjoy the finals because I think it's going to be a great series as we get into it. I don't have any like emotional attachment to it. If Boston wins, I'm fine with it. If Dallas wins, I'm fine with it. Those are there's something to be said for that after having to sweat all those games with the Nuggets last year.
yeah, and I mean, it also probably stinks for you that everyone was kind of like, calling you out for being a homer and stuff
Yeah,
like that for the Denver series. So it's
I
probably
hate
got to
that
be nice to
bullshit.
like, I'm from Boston, and I'll get a few people like, how are you against? And I don't want to just go right into it, but everyone kind of, I feel like most people know where we're at for this series because we've kind of talked about it throughout these shows since the playoffs started. But yeah, it's just I don't care. I don't care if they're my team. I'm going to bet who I think's going to win and who I think's the best bet. And we're going to get into that now. But before we get into the series as a whole, Tony, because I do want to talk about it from a betting perspective before we talk about the DFS Millie Maker, obviously on DraftKings. If you didn't see, DraftKings got a $25 Millie Maker for tonight's Showdown slate, so you should check that out. And we're going to dive heavily into the DK side, maybe break down some FanDuel too at some point, but we're going to really focus on DraftKings because of that Millie Maker. But Tony, anything else you wanted to get into? Did you want to talk about the Lakers at all? You sent me a message this morning about a coach that you're pretty excited for. You think he's a genius. So I'm assuming you like this move. If it's 100%, I don't think it's gone through yet, right? 100%.
Yeah, definitely hasn't gone through yet, but I don't know. A lot of people think it's like they're just hiring him because he won 2 championships. Maybe LeBron likes him, different thing. I just think he's like innovative as a coach. And if they really give him enough rope to coach there a long time, his stuff's awesome. Like his stuff is friggin' awesome. And I do like JSU and Kirky's side of that thing too. But yeah, I mean, there's just something to be said for that. So yeah.
I don't know. See, you watch more of the college game than I do, so I don't want to like get too much into it. But from just the way you've talked about him and from listening to him talk on some interviews, like if you go back and watch the JJ Redick did a little pod with him. I don't know if it was a pod or if it was like a clip or whatever it was, but listening to him talk to JJ on that pod on how he kind of evaluates talent in the program, and it's not just about talent, and it's about other attributes other than just, is this guy the best basketball player on the floor? He's looking at literally everything to see the character and just so many other traits to make sure that he fits the program. And I mean, it's a little harder with NBA because you are going to have to balance some egos when it comes to the NBA more than the college. But you can still pick and choose a little bit of who you choose to bring into your team, Tony, right? So he's still got a little say over that.
People are acting like because he's always been a screamer. He's a big time screamer. And they're acting like he's not going to be able to do that, which he's not, but he's smart enough. Like, the dude was born into a coaching family. His dad's the most famous high school coach ever. He's been incredibly successful in high school and college, and now he will be successful in the pros too. I know all college coaches aren't, but a lot of college coaches like Calipari have only been good because of players. I don't think this guy's good just because, he had great players too. I'm not saying he didn't. You're not going to win a title without great players, but he won at Wagner, I think he was before that, in Rhode Island. I mean, those are two small schools. He's just a great coach. He's going to crush. Like, I hope they get him because I think that'd be an amazing hire.
I got one last question. Do you think that LeBron on a team with a new coach helps or hurts that coach?
I think he's got a big enough ego and enough smarts to overcome it. But a lot of times I would say it's too much. But it's not going to be too much for Hurley. I mean, that family is a basketball family. He can handle anything. I believe that. And honestly, if LeBron is staying, which I'm sure they know if he's not, they're not going to announce it, obviously. If he's staying and he wanted it, I'm sure he was consulted on it. I mean, or he's leaving, and then you definitely want him if LeBron's leaving, because then he could just start the framework of what you do next.
He 100% knew this move no matter what.
Yeah,
whether
absolutely.
he was leaving or he already knew, whether it was the reason, maybe it was some of the reason he might stay because maybe he respects.
There's no way
on
this planet they hired or were going to offer someone without major consideration from LeBron.
Yeah, I agree 100% on that.
They still might not get him for the record. Like, I mean, he's the most sought out. There's not another coach in the world right now that would be tougher to hire than him.
Did you see him at UFC? He was at UFC this past weekend. He put up the 1, 2, and then held the 3 up. Like, he's going for the 3-peat. I mean,
if anybody can do it, it's the Lakers with a blank check, because it's the Lakers and a blank check. But man, it's not going to be easy getting them. It's going to have to be a big boy offer. I mean, like, big boy offer.
Well, they can do a big boy offer. It's the Lakers, so I mean, they can definitely do it if he wants to do it. So
I just think it'd be fun to watch him in the NBA with the actual players, because I think he can develop the Ruiz, the Christies, some of those guys that haven't looked great yet. I mean, I think he's going to be able to develop guys almost as good as like the Spurs have over the years.
I was going to say, I think he's going to be like the Spurs, where he can make guys that maybe aren't as supremely talented as others coming into the league. He can make them almost to that tier just based off of the way he develops and coaches them. So I agree with you 100%. Just from what I've heard,
he's going to be way better under his system. I mean, he's going to be awesome. I think a lot of people are scared because he's a college guy. I think he's going to be awesome.
If they buy in, everyone who buys in is going to probably be better in his system. That's the truth. If you don't buy in, though, Tony, you'll probably be gone after a year or two because you won't.
And if they do hire him, you got to do it. You can't do it like all this Lakers bullshit. You got to give him like 8 to 10 years and just let him go. Don't fire him after 2 years of it going wrong or something.
Yeah, because he's going to want to, like, I'm sure, get some guys in, get some guys out. Like, I'm sure he already knows some of the guys that like don't fit.
For sure.
And he's like, I if I go here, I'm going to get rid of this guy. I want to look at this guy for the draft and maybe a trade here. And
if LeBron's
he's
truly
definitely got
ideas,
ideas.
how does he not accept? like. Because he's talked to LeBron too. There's no way they haven't talked. So, I mean, there's no way he can say no. If LeBron calls him and is like, dude, we need to get this done. Here's 15 to 20 million a year. There's no way he can say no, right?
Plus a blank check, like plus a blank check from the Lakers. Like,
no
yeah, he's definitely going there.
No.
Again, unless he thinks that LeBron there would be a deterrent because LeBron is pretty much a coach, which I don't know if he would, because like you said, he's got a pretty good background.
I just don't think anyone would think LeBron's a negative. I know he's
I don't mean a negative.
out.
You're going to say it negative. I mean, though, like the players are looking at the coach, but they're also looking at Coach LeBron.
And that's going to happen for sure. But
that's what I'm talking about more than like LeBron's an actual because on the floor, LeBron is never been an actual negative. So I don't want it to come across like he's a negative.
Up when we talk about LeBron.
LeBron's a negative everywhere. I mean, LeBron is
negative.
Yeah, he's awful. Everywhere he goes, he loses, Tony. That's what I've heard from LeBron. He's just a big loser.
22 years of ass.
As he says, I think he's ass. All right. Well, with that, let's dive in here to the finals talk. And I want to know in the chat, I just want to know what you guys think. Who you got winning the series? Do you got Boston? Do you got the Mavs? Just put Boston or Dallas. I want to see what the chat thinks, Tony, because I feel pretty confident, but this line, Boston's a big favorite here. They're, I think, minus 225. Mavericks are around plus 175 for the series. I got the Mavs in 6. I've said this since pretty much the first round that the West is just better than the East. And outside of like one or two teams I didn't like in the West, if they got there, I'd probably pick against them. They lost early, so it wasn't even that case. I knew that whoever got there in the end, even though I was wrong about Dallas versus Minnesota, I knew that whoever won that series, I was going to like against Boston because we assumed that Boston was winning with all these injuries that happened throughout the Eastern Conference, with how many teams going down from the Knicks, then the Pacers in series. You had Donnie Mitchell in series. You had Jimmy Butler before the season. So you had all those things happen, and it just felt like they had the best path ever. And I don't want to sound like I'm diminishing them for that, Tony, but I think that's just natural because of the path. Like, I can't help myself, and Celtics fans won't like it, but I just can't help myself but put a little, I don't know. I feel like they've gotten a really lucky road, and the West has been all just really tough outs. And I think Dallas has been tested a little bit more this year. Boston's been tested as a team, obviously, because they've been here before, but I'm going Dallas. I'm going with the two of the most clutch players at the end of games. Maybe Kyrie Irving is the most clutch player ever in the NBA. I don't know what you think about that, but what do you see here in the series? And do you think it should be this big of a line between Boston being this big of favorites here?
So I think it's a classic sharps versus the squares series where all the sharps are on Boston, all the squares are on Dallas, and I'm on the square side. You're
never on the square side, by the way.
Well, no, that's not true. I tell this story a ton when we do these shows, but I used to always bet the sharp side no matter what. Like, I just would always do it no matter what. I would just blindly do it because I knew it was the sharp side, but I just wasn't winning money when I was doing that back in the day. And since I've got more in the middle, I've won more money. I've been profitable bets wise the last 3 years. And that wasn't the case before that. So I sometimes you got to bet the square side. And for a lot of the same reasons you're saying, I get the best player in the series for sure. Maybe the best two players in the series when it comes to crunch time. I'll get people really pissed when I start saying that. But for sure, undoubtedly, the number one player in the series is Luka. Just like what he did to Minnesota, who had the best defense in basketball. He dominated them. And I think there's a significant coaching advantage to Jay Kidd, who has proven to be an incredible playoff coach with adjustments. As a player, he was always smart. As a coach, he's super smart. The adjustments have been freaking awesome. and you got God Shamgod on that staff too. You can't go wrong with God Shamgod for the mojo factor. But you got the best player, the best coach. I love their role players. Everyone's talking about Porzingis being the X factor. I know I'm on an island, but I think he hurts them more than he helps them, and people will kill me for that. I just don't. If Rudy Gobert, who we hate, can't guard that pick and roll, how the hell is Porzingis going to be able to stay? When they start putting him in actions, I don't see it personally.
On a bad calf.
The
on
counter
a bad calf.
will be, they'll switch it up and they'll put Tatum on this guy and Porzingis over here, and that'll be their counters. But there's always a way in the NBA to get what you want, to manipulate that defense. I just think Dallas, I've watched Boston, just like you said, struggle the whole postseason. I know people were killing me for the Indiana thing because I sent that tweet like they couldn't stop TJ McConnell and Nembhard, and then people took it serious. They swept them, they dominate. I'm like, well, they covered one of the 4 games. They didn't look good. They easily could have lost 2 or 3 of those games. Doesn't matter, whatever. That Luka is a different animal. I'm fully aware that the sharp side is definitely Boston, though. So Boston might just be that good that they just go and win. But this is another good part about having no feelings mixed in. I'm just taking Dallas, and I'm rooting on Dallas. And you know what? Boston freaking wins, then Boston wins. Whatever. They've been a good team for a while. It's not like we're saying Boston sucks.
No, and I will say, just from the chat, from what I've seen, it seems like a lot of the chat is on the sharp side. So I will say, I would assume that just because we do got a lot of sharp people, I feel like, that watch these shows. But so that was something I assumed anyways, Tony. But you talked about it, and I wanted to get 2 comments. Brandon says Boston's gonna switch, so KP's not going to be able to hide. They're just going to hunt them. I don't care.
Going to switch for the record. I mean, there's going to be a lot of switching in this.
There's going to be a lot of switching going on here. I don't know if
there's going to be a lot of offense because I don't think either team's going to be able to guard the other.
Well, here's the other thing too. I think if KP's actually not 100% either, which I don't believe he is, I don't care what anyone says. I don't think he is, but if he's not, it puts him in even more danger too. And when you talk about a lower leg injury, when the guy's had lower leg injuries in the past, he's dealt with injuries his whole career. And now he's maybe, even if he's 80%, Tony, or 85%, 70%, wherever he is, I don't think it's 100. And when you got to constantly get put into situations where you're in a pick and roll with Luka and you got to defend him in the rim at the same time, and you've got a bad lower leg, it's like, well, you're either giving up lobs or wide open shots, because how is he going to guard that? We just saw Rudy not be able to do it. I don't see how it's going to be any different for him. So then Boston's got to maybe change some stuff up with Luka, and it's going to put other guys like PJ Washington, who we saw in situations, get wide open looks for days, Tony. And I think
it's going to come down to that for sure again for a lot of this series. They're going to leave. You got no choice when you play Dallas but to leave PJ open. He's the guy. He's just going to be open.
So really the X factors for Dallas are 2 guys. They're PJ Washington and Derek Lively, because I think that role's going to be there a lot with KP and Al Horford. I think they're going to struggle to stop that. And I think PJ Washington is going to get wide open looks. So at the end of the day, if those guys are plus for the series and they're playing well, I think Dallas has a really, really good chance to show some people that that they win this series handily. If they struggle in this series, like PJ did for most of the series in Minnesota, then I think it's a very close series and Boston has a chance to win. So I think that's really what it comes down to for me. And I just don't believe that KP is going to be fully healthy. So that's where I'm at. We're both on the Mavs. We're both on the square side. So, it's not, I can't believe it, because I know for a fact when I first met you and listened to you talk, you were always square, sharp side. You were never on the square side. So it is funny that you've slowly came around on not always being on the sharp side. But
And
Like you said, I
one of
guess.
the big things I've done, like if I don't have a strong take on a game or something, I'll still go with the sharp side. But if I like have a strong feeling in my head and it's against it, then I just go with it because I just have seen these teams and in the playoffs. If you just went in the playoffs with best player in the series, best coach in the series, I bet you'd win 80+% of the time. And on top of it, you got an underdog price because of it. So you're going to give me an underdog price on the best player and the best coach, maybe the best two players when it comes down to crunch time. That goes, I mean, I can't pass it up.
It's honestly my rule that I've always followed in the NBA. And sometimes you're wrong. Like I was wrong in the Minnesota series.
And we'll be
I was
wrong plenty
wrong.
of times.
Best player, wrong. Anthony Edwards wasn't the best player. Best coach. I mean,
don't
I
even
thought
think you thought Anthony Edwards was better than Luka though going into it. I don't
not
believe
like
you
better,
believe that.
like not like better, like oh, I just thought like both sides of the basketball, the way he'd been playing, I was
I
like,
know you like Ant, but even you, I refuse to believe that you thought he was better than Luka going into that.
I
You might have
sold
been feeling
myself.
yourself a little
I
bit after
sold
the Denver
myself
series.
really hard on Anthony Edwards. I won't. Dude, you know me. I won't run from it. I'll be wrong. Like I'm wrong. I
Like
thought he was a
Ant, you
top
could make
5
a case
player.
versus a lot of people, but Luka and Jokic, I mean, you still can't
Here's the
make it
thing,
with
though,
them.
Tony. I thought they were both top 5 players. Obviously, Luka was the better player. Like he's the better player. I was wrong there, but at the end of the day, I'm still going to have my takes, and they're not always going to be the same from other people. And honestly, I think the reason why people like these shows and like what we give is because we don't just give the same bland stuff.
Yeah.
Whether we're right, we're wrong is just another thing. But you know me, I don't. When I say something, I believe it. Whether you think I'm stupid for saying it or just wrong,
Well, that's why I
it's
don't
just the
think you
way I
really
am.
believe that Ant was better than Luka. I don't. I believe that you think it over everyone. I don't think you thought that though. Luka's just a different animal.
I thought that Ant, Luka, and Jokic were the 3 best players in the NBA.
Which could still be the case, but there's a big drop off between 2 and 3, I think. I mean, Luka's a different animal, and people aren't going to give Jokic whatever, but Jokic is just as, I mean, Jokic is still better in my mind than Luka. It's just, and it was how the year broke. The year broke weird for him.
I want to actually know how much time Luka spends throughout this year, like playing like with injuries, because he just feels like hurt all the time. So he's probably even better than I actually give him, or we all actually give him credit for when he's like fully healthy. Because I just feel like he always is banged up.
We definitely don't feel like we've ever seen him like fully healthy, but it might just be how he is, though. He might just play like that, like where he's hobbles around and.
I think it's just he doesn't like take it seriously in the offseason, so he doesn't stay in like peak conditioning.
You almost guarantee that him and Jokic, like I think they get in shape during the season.
Or they try to, and then they get nicks and knacks from being deconditioned, right? You're deconditioned, and then you just throw your body into it, and that's how you get injuries.
Because Luka's big, but Jokic is like no one's bullying either one of them. Let's face it, but no one's bullying Jokic. No one's bullying either one of them, though. So it was a bad example.
Luka's really tough because when you try and bully him, he actually likes it.
He loves it.
He prefers you. Like if Drew Holiday was like up in his shit today, I'm like, oh shit. Like he likes that. Yeah. Like that's not something he's gonna be annoyed by. Some players, they don't like that. They don't like that physicality. No. And Drew knows it. It's the same thing with like Kyrie. Like Kyrie, he said, like, they asked him, like, what do you do when Kyrie, like, when you're guarding Kyrie? And he's like, pray. Like, there's not much you can do.
Sharp response, too, from a veteran right there.
Super
sharp response.
But that's the truth, though, in a way, Tony, because there's not much you can do other than just stay in front of them and try and make it as tough as possible to disrupt some of these guys like Luka and Kyrie. You just got to make it as hard as you can and hope they're off. You know, that's just
all you can do.
That's sometimes what you can do is just, give as much effort. So, all right, we gave our takes on the actual series here, Tony. We got game 1. It's in Boston, 6-point favorites here. Mavs 6-point dogs on the road in Boston. We like Mavs for the series. Did you say how many games you think this series?
I never liked this question as much. I'm not very good at like picking that. If I had to pick though, I would say in 6, just close it out at home in
Okay.
game 6. I think it'll be a long series, though. I don't see it being a short series either way.
All right. So okay, 6, that's where I was at too. So it's not a short series though. You don't see like a sweep either way. So which I
If it
don't
was
either.
a short series, I would go to the same thing we said with Minnesota. I feel like the short series would be Dallas winning in like 5. I mean, Boston's going to blow games. We've seen it versus, and even if Boston plays great in this series, they're still going to blow a few games versus Luka. So if Boston wins, like, I'd be stunned seeing Boston win in like 5.
Yeah, and when Boston has those like bad games or like at the end of games just messes up and stuff like that, this is one of those teams we've seen. If you do that, you're going to lose those games because you got two of the clutchest guys in the league comboed together. So, all right, let's bring this to the DFS because I know that's what everyone wants to talk about here. Most of the people want to talk about here. We got a Millie Maker on top for DraftKings. What would you say, like, just looking at the top here, Tony, you got Luka, Tatum, Kyrie Irving, Jaylen Brown, just looking at those top 4 studs, right? What are you doing with Luka and Tatum? That's the first thing, because there is a price gap between those guys. How are you figuring out those top 2 guys?
Yeah, it's an interesting series for sure up top because I think both teams are going to score super easy. Like Dallas just played Minnesota, who's a great D. I know Boston's considered a great D too. And Dallas honestly is considered a great D at this point. Like if you look at the last numbers from the last 3 months, these 2 in Minnesota are 3 of the best defenses. But with the way these matchups are, I feel like Boston's going to get whatever shot they want. And I feel like Dallas is going to get the shot they want too. So I think there's going to be a ton of points in this series, which isn't usually the case this late in the year. Like even I've been taking a lot of unders in the playoffs. I like over here. I think we see points, which means these stars. Yeah, I like Luka and Tatum the best. And honestly, like you look at the numbers, 62 and 61 from Saber and us. I think it's a decent number for game 1. I mean, I'm going to go a little higher, like maybe 65. And then for Tatum, maybe a little higher too, just because I always shade towards the studs. But, I mean, the next guys, I honestly think these next 2 have a lot of value, though, with how much cheaper they are than Luka and Tatum. So I want to go higher on this next grouping, which price-wise is just Kyrie and Jaylen. But, well, I'm definitely not going to be high on Zinger. But the rest of them, Derek White, Drew Holiday, PJ Washington, Lively, Horford, I want to be high on all of those guys because I still think it's going to be a starters-based thing. And like you said, I think PJ Washington and Lively are going to get the most good looks of anybody on Dallas. If they play good, it's probably going to be because these 2 have big series. If these 2 have a bad series, they have no chance. They're gonna get smoked. So I think they play good. And honestly, so just working back to there, I mean, I got to go higher on Jaylen and Kyrie. I'm actually gonna put Jaylen higher than Kyrie, but I like both of them. Something like 44 maybe and 43 or something like that. But I think Kyrie of the 4 has the worst matchup. I think Derek White and Drew Holiday can give him. Again, it's Kyrie, so he's gonna. I'm more worried about Kyrie than I am Luka. Like Luka's just gonna do what he does. I could see Kyrie struggling a little bit. Like late in the game, I'm still confident in him, but I don't think he's gonna come in and just blitz him and just totally crush Drew Holiday and Derek White. So I would rank it as far as what I actually like. I think I would go Luka, Jaylen, Tatum, Kyrie would be my rankings for the 4.
Keep in mind too, Tony, that when you look at Kyrie and you look at his numbers, I mean, how is he getting there DFS wise? He's scoring. And when I say scoring, I mean like he's dropping 30 plus, right? In the 2 games, or actually the 3 games of that Minnesota series, if you look at it, 3 of those games where he scored over like 40 plus in those games, he had 30 points, 33 and 36. So he's getting there primarily with scoring. If you think that Drew Holiday and Derek White can even limit him, like under that 30, there. How else is he going to get there from a fantasy perspective? Because Luka takes so much away from him from like a playmaking standpoint. So he's not really getting there in any other category. So I think unless you think that the scoring is going to be there, you kind of got to be a little lower on him just in general. But I guess I agree with you there. I do think, though, the price gap makes it interesting just for the Millie Maker and building lineups because they're going to want to jam these studs, right? So, like Luka's going to be massively popular. I mean, it's nothing everyone don't know about. So maybe Jaylen Brown is like the guy we could look to. He's another guy, though. He's another guy, though. I put him in a similar category to Kyrie, but the only thing is he can get I guess he can do better in the rebounding stocks category than Kyrie. So he's like a little better.
He kind of rebounds worse than he should. He almost pisses me off with how little rebounding he does. He's so athletic. I feel like he should get more than he does.
But he just doesn't I feel like Tatum's the one just sitting under the hoop a lot of the time. He just doesn't do that. You know what I mean? He's not sitting there waiting for a rebound. He's trying to get out and go. It's probably more like a plan thing, in my opinion, Tony, where he's not crashing as much. But it feels like Tatum's always under the rim waiting for rebounds. And Derek White and Drew Holiday are good rebounders for guards. They're not bad rebounders. So
couple questions.
I think it's Luka over Tatum.
Is it possible to ship with a 2K guy? Absolutely. And if you want to win $1 million tonight, honestly, that's a decent route. And we never talk about this stuff on the shows, but you never know when a blowout's coming. Both teams have been off for a week. And if you're truly playing a Millie Maker tonight to win $1 million, that I think is the best route. Play a Dallas blowout, play a Boston blowout, and play one of these 2K guys in there, and maybe even 2K guys. That's how you could solo ship a Millie tonight. Just play a weird path because everyone's going to play a somewhat close, balanced build tonight. So, yeah, absolutely, I think you can win with a 2K guy.
Like a 5-1 with a 2K guy. That'll be very unique.
Maybe a 4-2 with where you got one decent guy. Because, it's tough for no one to get there, but something like that where as we get to the bottom, we can
to ship $1 million and to be unique. If you're trying to build unique lineups, a 2K guy and a 5-1 will definitely get close to
one night where – because the whole playoffs I've preached, play the studs and the cheaper guys and the showdown. If there's a Millie, though, I think there's value in just getting weird. It's $25. Play it till you're going to lose. We've used this example a million times, but pretending you're going to a movie and a dinner with your girlfriend or something, and just pretend you're going to lose $50 and put 2 entries in there and just do something creative. And you just never freaking know. Who knows what they do in a game one?
I swear to God, Tony, Tony, how many times have you taken Amber to a movie and a dinner, and then it's culminated with the bench session at the end? That's your go-to right there, movie and dinner.
And if you ship a Millie off $25, you're getting some workbench time. There's no doubt about that.
I thought you were going to say you're taking your wife to a movie and a dinner, and then getting the workbench.
It's not going to be to a movie.
Yeah, I was going to say definitely not.
You might make a movie, but I don't know if you're going to a movie.
All right, I probably won't be making a movie either, but yeah, I guess you never know.
Off 25, you might surprise yourself.
That's true. That's a good point.
You might go buy a full camcorder and film crew to come in and get it done.
I've done a lot of stuff in my DFS career. I've never won a Millie, so I don't know what that feels like. Instead, my co-host though, he knows what it feels like. He's won a Millie. I've got him on FaceTime.
NBA Showdown though, that would feel pretty good.
Well, NBA, if you somehow solo ship this Millie, that's a huge thing because that's really tough to do on these type of but you never know.
Game ones are when it can happen though, because game 6s, it's pretty. We know the rotations. Game 5s, Game 1, week off, some weird shit can happen tonight. Don't forget that.
Hashtag Ray J season right there, Tony. Tony, that's Ray J season. Isn't he the one who had the sex tape with Kim Kardashian back in the day? I don't know. I thought that was him. Am I
It
wrong?
probably is.
I think I'm right. I could be
I'm not
wrong.
caught
I have
up
no
with
idea.
my porn.
Oh, well, see. I mean, this was years ago, though, I
It
thought.
was.
So, or fine. Jamal Murray for you. There you
I've
go.
seen
Jamal
that
Murray.
one.
That's
Yeah, she knew her way around.
that's more recent. So, yeah. See, bang Kim K on videos.
There
JSU
we
was on
go.
point right there. See, the Armenians. I knew that because she was Armenian, so I get all that news. But yeah, Ray J season. So yeah, 2K I think is a good option, especially if you're looking to be very unique. That's going to make yourself unique,
And
Tony. And
you have guys like I don't want to go because we were going down the order, but I mean
let's
these
wait
guys
on
at
that.
2K can get you. Exum's got minutes. Hardaway's got minutes. Tillman at times has played. O'Shea's at times played. Like there's guys that you could see getting there. Like it's not like there's total dead guys in there.
Yeah, and you never know who goes out of a game too, Tony, or who like the team just gets frustrated with and says, "We're not playing you. Like, we'll go to somebody else." So, and maybe Dante Exum's a guy that gets a bump in minutes. So let's not get too crazy. We still got to, finish up these top tier guys.
And the
But
mid range is honestly the key, anyways, because
yeah,
we got to figure out how to rank the mid rangers.
well, before you do that, how do you rank the top tier, 1 through 4?
I already answered. You weren't listening.
By captain exposure?
I said Luka, and I haven't run my numbers yet, but this is in my head how I would want it. Luka, Jalen, Tatum, Kyrie would be my 1 to 4.
Okay, we're similar.
But again, like I haven't used the Saber Sim yet, so like I don't know how much this price tag from Luka is gonna maybe lower it or something. But just in my head, that's how I want it.
Knowing you, I think you're going to give him a pretty fair projection, or maybe a higher
I don't
projection.
think I could go higher than 65. Maybe I can.
I
Not in
even
game
think
one,
at
though.
65, I think he's going to hit a decent amount. That's just unless you just really bump the Jaylen Brown types, like
Which I
really
don't really.
high.
All these guys, I don't see how I can really go higher than these. If anything, I'm going to go lower on a couple of these.
Yeah. All right. Let's
can't
get
really
down
go
to the Porzingis, Derek White, Drew Holiday. Let's talk about those three in a clump for Boston first, Tony. So I think you're going to be lower on Porzingis too. I'm going to be lower on him. Right now, I see like 35 projection for him, at least on Saber. Is that what you see right now?
Mine's lower, but
What's
mine's
yours
probably
at?
more updated. Mine's 32.
32. That's what I
just hit
yeah.
refresh.
Hit refresh.
Yeah, 32.
Okay, 32. So mine's the one that wasn't refreshed. All right, so 32.
I mean,
what are you doing there? Because that's like on par with like, I think Drew Holiday's around 32 too. If
so one guy that like I said, I'm playing it more aggressive tonight than I have been. I'm just not going to play Porzingis. I mean, I'm going to leave him in there, and I'm definitely not going to X him. But I want to be lower on him than literally all the way through like Lively. So I want all those guys ahead of him. So I'm probably not going to hardly get any anyways. But if Porzingis has a big game, I'm just fine losing. You can't cover all your bases on these showdowns. I can't do it. So, I mean, for me in particular, my tough decision are for sure Derek White, Drew Holiday, PJ Washington, because I think they're the three best plays price-wise of the whole slate. I mean, Derek White and Drew Holiday are going to play a ton, and PJ is going to play a ton. I mean, you might have 40 minutes from all three of those guys. And like we said, I think Drew Holiday is going to keep stepping up in the playoffs. Derek White's always clutch. And PJ Washington's going to get open shots all night and keep doing what he's doing. So, and Derek Lively and Horford, I'm good with too, cheaper guys. So I love this range, which is another reason that I'm just not going to play Porzingis because I like these other five guys. So I'm literally even going to project Porzingis under them. And just for my personal rankings, I'm going to go Derek White. Man, I want to go PJ number one. I feel like PJ is going to crush.
I'm smelling you might be playing PJ Washington in the captain when your numbers are all said and done.
It could be with that price tag. Just for the sake of the show, though, I like PJ a lot. I'm going to go PJ, Derek White, Drew Holiday, and then Porzingis at I'll just for the whatever 32. I'm not going to get much of him at that, but 32, and then just projection wise, I don't look at Lively and Horford like a big drop off, but I'm not an idiot. Like they're projected way less. I can't put them really in the same tier as that next group. So let's go. I'm going to go Lively like 27, if I could type 27, and Horford like I want to go higher. Like even though Porzingis is back, I think people are going to be too low on Horford. I think Horford's still going to have a decent role in this game, and
because you're probably projecting like a little, maybe Boston's a little easy on Porzingis's minutes, which means Horford's going to get minutes, right? So
absolutely.
Which in turn though, it hurts kind of the bench for Boston a little bit too, right? Because now they got that.
I hate Boston's bench, so
yeah.
Like, and again, I'm playing it so aggressive tonight that I just don't think I want any Boston bench guys. Because even if this game's like a 15, we've seen what Boston does with their guys. They just play them. And you add one more guy back into the rotation, even if it's a 28-minute roll or something, it's still eating up those minutes. And like O'Shea, I just don't need Tillman. Even taking a chance on a 2K guy, like I'd rather just do it on Tim Hardaway, who you just don't know. Like he could come in for offense and stuff. And like Cornette, I don't need. Doogie Howser just sucks. I just don't really want those guys. So I'm going to make it easy, and I'm going to gamble on the Dallas side more than the Boston side. I'm just going to play these and take Porzingis out. I am just going to, because I do not want Porzingis. So I'm just going to take him out. Like
it's interesting though. So you always talk to me about, so you're fine with having like, I don't know, Lively or Derek Jones or Gafford hit over like a Porzingis build?
Only for tonight because it's the Millie Maker, and I just want to be more creative than I usually am. Normally, no, because like if you're right tonight and Porzingis just isn't there and these guys outscore him, like you got a chance to win $1 million. Like most nights, I mean, you're going to win what, 100K, 50K, nothing to sneeze at, but there's not as much reason to gamble. Tonight, you're gambling to win. Like I'm fine if I get 0 back tonight. I want to gamble more tonight.
Yeah, and so you're just taking that shot because of the larger prize pool and the larger entries
and
coming in.
It would just be fun to take down $1 million on game one. Like, go for it. Don't be a puss tonight. Go for it.
I'm with you on Porzingis, so I'm fine with that.
That doesn't even mean you got to like play a ton of entries either. If you're a 2 to 3 entry guy, like I said, just pretend you're going to lose and get more, or play one safe team and then do a couple weird ones.
I mean, you should if you're playing the Millie Maker, you should not be playing like safe teams. If you're playing 1 to 3 teams,
you're going to chop a lot, but even if it's chop. Like a 100-way chop or something, you're still winning decent chunk tonight.
Yeah, well, yeah, I guess I'm just more talking about if you're trying to like ship a big number.
Yeah.
If you're not and you're just trying to like build the best team, then okay, build the best team. But if I was playing 3 teams in this Millie Maker, I would be building very unique with those 3 teams because I only got 3 of them, and there's so many entries into this field. Like, and so many guys are playing 150.
Colton has literally sent 19 messages about Kleba since we started. Is Kleba in your family, Colton?
We haven't even got into that. Well, Tony kind of moved into that range.
No, not really.
We haven't even gotten into that range yet. So we'll give us a second to get into this range. I think the only difference with me and you, Tony, is I got Holiday above White and PJ slightly, but I got it Holiday, PJ, White.
This is the Rubio move, Patrick Wright. Do not play Tim Hardaway Jr. in the captain.
Yeah, come on. Not in the Millie Maker. Please don't do that. Don't do that.
No.
That's not.
Don't do the Rubio. Happening. Never do the Gregory.
I feel like that move works more in like high stakes than it would ever work in like a Millie Maker field, to be honest. But
yeah, or like cash where you don't need to
cash.
Get there. But I just don't. I don't see it. I don't see it. You need a blowout or something weird.
The bumps asked, with 3 teams, would you build all 3 completely
Me
different or do
personally,
like
with
2v2s?
$1 million, I would do 3 different ones. Like, especially with this slate, I would have 3 different captains and just different routes. One for sure blowout, one probably somewhat chalky. I would do 3 different ones just tonight. And honestly, that's kind of how I'm going to build, is different routes.
When I play 3 teams, like not in Showdown, I make 2 teams that are close to similar, and then 1 team that's completely, Tony knows this, 1 team that's completely different than the 2 teams, almost like hedging the 2 teams in a way, with some of the plays. But for Showdown, with a Millie Maker tonight, I would say I agree with Tony. You should make 3, because you want like 3 paths. You want 3 avenues. So like if the game goes one way, you don't feel like you're completely dead, right, Tony? So making 3 different paths gives you more outs in that scenario with such a large field. So
even though I don't like Boston, I think there's a shit ton of 3-point variance in this series. Where do I think Boston will blow them out one game? Absolutely. Well, do I know when it'll be? No. Could be tonight, could be game 2, could be in Dallas. But there's going to be a lot of variance in this series. So I would not play this series as close to the vest as people think you should.
With KP back, Tony, I do think it makes guys like Derek White and Drew Holiday little even better from the 3-point standpoint, because having Al Horford and Porzingis in there is very different. Like I think teams are at Al Horford's stage of his career. Teams are more apt to be like, okay, we'll live with you shooting 11 times or 15 times. Like how many games in that series just recently, Tony, where he shot like a crazy amount of 3-pointers and you're like, what the hell is he doing? Like, look at those games. That last game against Cleveland, he had 13 threes. He made 6 of them, so that was good. The first game against Indiana, he had 12 threes. He only made 3 of them. And then he made a shitload of threes in I think the second to last game against Indiana, where he had 7 of 12. But I'm just saying, like, I think teams would more live with him shooting 12 threes. Porzingis, though, is a little different. I don't know if teams are just going to live with him shooting these wide open threes as much. I think that's where the Derek White and the Drew Holidays may get better looks with KP in there, as opposed to Al Horford. So you could see, maybe for like a betting standpoint, Tony, maybe you take that standpoint with them from like a betting standpoint with their 3 line. I haven't looked at the lines yet, but maybe that's something I do later today. And drop it in the Run Pure Sports.
Who starts for Boston?
Well, they got to start Porzingis, Derek White,
you
Jason
think they
Tatum.
for sure start Porzingis?
Yeah. If they don't start Porzingis, then you should be worried. I'll just say that, if they don't start him, because that means that he's definitely not healthy.
Personally.
Well, if that happens, he's definitely not 100% healthy. He's on some type of minutes limit, or they want him for like certain stretches of the game, Tony, and they don't want him to, when they take him out, they want him to rest for larger portions or short portion. Like it depends on what he's doing. If he's like healthy though, he starts. Right? Don't you agree?
Yeah. If there was no injury, then obviously I just think, I mean, the dude hasn't played in how long? A month? Longer?
A while. Yeah.
I mean, again, this isn't even going to matter because we're going to know before tip. So it's not that big of a deal. And they're both going to play, so that's not that big of a deal. But I think that his projection will come down. I hope he starts, because if he doesn't, it's going to let people get lower on him. And I don't think his minutes are that different. I
personally think he starts, just for the record. Yeah. You don't think he starts, though? You think he comes off the bench?
My personal feeling is he probably comes off the bench, but that doesn't mean anything really, because like I said, we're going to know.
Yeah.
And honestly, like my projections, I don't think I would really even change. If he doesn't start, I would lower his projection, but I'm already low on him. So, yeah.
Yeah. So if he's doing like 5-minute shifts and stuff like that, then he's definitely, the cardio is definitely not there.
Possibly run him out there for, like, what's do you think is his ceiling minutes wise?
You got to remember though, this is like a whole, like they got a whole training staff and they have plans for all these guys when they come off injury. So like, you don't know what the training staff is telling the coaches, like, hey, listen, his body can handle X for X amount of time and he needs X rest in between. And you don't know what the game plan is going to be. We've seen, for every injury, it's a little different. So it could be something like that. But I
how
also
many
agree.
minutes do you personally think he plays, though?
I mean, I was projecting for between 24 and 28 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a good number.
What were you thinking? Because I was thinking
mid-20s. Yeah, I think 6 minutes a quarter type thing.
I think him and Al pretty much split the center minutes.
I agree with that. I don't think they can play them.
You know what, Tony? I think they do what Lively and Gafford have been doing. And maybe Porzingis, if he's feeling good, plays the larger stretch at the end where he gets the extra couple minutes. But I think they do what Gafford and Lively have been doing. That's just my personal opinion. Which obviously, if that happens, it's going to hurt him. And it really does benefit Al. To your point about Al, I think if that's the case, then Al's still got to be.
I think Al's like a really good play, like just super low owned because
especially if you're fading Porzingis. I think you're kind of hoping that Al, has a decent game.
The flip side though is exactly what you said, where we got the same issue we got with Lively and Gafford, where you're just giving up. You're giving up your ceiling minutes wise. Whereas you can play this other grouping and you can get all the minutes. That's the only downside to it. And his price sucks. Like Al Horford's price is one of the worst on the board. I mean, he's the same price as PJ and Drew. But again, we're playing to win $1 million.
I mean, we're only
and you got to sacrifice that a little bit.
We're only spending $400 to $600 more though on Lively or Gafford for like the same.
And I mean, Gafford, I think, is a bad play this series, but
he's definitely a bad play. He's like the worst. He's by far the worst play, I think.
And I'm just going to take it further, though. Like when we're trying to win $1 million, sometimes these bad plays are actually going to be good plays, though, just to get you unique. And you just got to get a little more creative than we usually do. Where, like, I think Gafford's a bad play, but who's to say he somehow can't have a 6-block game and gets 12 rebounds or something just weird, some outlier that gets you $1 million. And his rim runs, for whatever reason, the way Boston guards Luka, maybe he just gets rim runs that are just there. You just never know. And I think Gafford and Horford price-wise are the two worst plays, maybe, because like Derek Jones is going to get a ton of minutes. He's cheaper. And then you get way down in the cheap range. Lively has no value with Porzingis protecting the paint. That is not how I look at it, Brandon.
I don't believe that because Porzingis is going to be tied up in pick and rolls constantly. It's not as easy to protect the paint when you're also trying to figure out, okay, is Luka going to shoot it? Is he going to pass it? Tony, it's really hard when you got someone like Luka running that pick and roll and in the paint.
People actually think Porzingis is just going to be able to stand in the middle against Dallas.
I mean, if Rudy Gobert couldn't, why is I thought Rudy Gobert was like the greatest defender in the paint ever, and now Porzingis is just going to do it. Like,
and Porzingis on one leg is going to anchor that middle. He's gonna shut him down.
That injury too, by the way, Tony, they were very quiet about it, and it looked pretty bad. And it looked really bad when he did it.
Video? People were making fun of me about this. Dude, I've been in thousands of these warm-ups. Yeah, you don't go full speed, but he was ginger even on his little running shots. I mean, I don't care what anyone says.
Now, on his jump shots, I will say, he doesn't get a lot of lift anyways, Tony. He really kind of he doesn't have like an explosive push off, but he's still constantly pushing off that leg when you jump, shoot, try and block shots. You don't think that's going to bother him over time? It's definitely going to do it. It's going to affect his rim protection the most, I think, because his shot, he doesn't jump that high. So it may not affect him as much on the shot, but over time it could. But the rim protection, I definitely think it affects the rim protection a little bit more. So that's just my take. Could be wrong. Brandon could be right, but he says Gobert moves horribly too. He gets exposed in the playoffs. We agree with you there, but Porzingis doesn't move. I think he's going to struggle a lot.
Part of my issue
On
is
these
I've always
guards.
thought Porzingis is like literally cheeks, just
Yeah, you
straight
hate
cheeks.
Porzingis. Yeah, you've always said
These
that.
big stiffs, I just think suck. Like, don't get me wrong, he makes Boston better 100%. I'm not saying he doesn't. They're obviously better with Porzingis, but I mean, I just don't like if Porzingis just got traded to Denver, my team, I'd be so pissed. I don't want Porzingis.
I mean, but he would just stand out there and shoot threes.
Which I
And
hate. I just freaking
and
I
he'd
hate
get
guys
wide
that are,
open looks though, bro. He would literally just get wide open 3 looks
and he's
from
always going to
Jokic.
be hurt too. There's Colton with
Yeah.
another Kleba take. Get in there, Colton. That's 10. I'm counting.
He said, "My
Will
cousin
he have more
Kleba."
posts than Kleba has fantasy points is the question.
What's funny is as we get down into the, I don't want to just move into it. I do think that Maxi Kleba could play a big role in the series. That doesn't always result.
Well, he's only got to outscore the price range is the key part. Like,
that's
he's
true.
only got to outscore the cheapies.
I think he fits very well against a team like Boston. Personally, just to me, with the bigs that Boston has in in Al and Porzingis, all they do is they you're not worried about them posting up as much. You honestly
not
prefer
as much
them
at
shooting.
all. You're not worried about them posting up.
You prefer them shooting twos, right, Tony? You'd rather them do that. So Kleba actually fits the series. Now, against Minnesota, I understand why it was pretty much Gafford and Lively, and, because you needed that size with how Minnesota played, just always playing 2 bigs. But Boston's not going to do that, Tony. They're going to play smaller lineups with JT at the 4, and, they got Jaylen Brown they can move around. And so the math could go really small.
2.5. That's hilarious if it's true.
I'm gonna bet that actually.
He's only gonna make 1-3.
He's gonna hit 1-3, baby. We're gonna roll. Me and Colton, we're gonna smash that line. We're gonna roll Colton. Me and you. He's gonna
end with I cannot bet that.
He's gonna end with a line of 3-1-1, Tony, for like 5 or 6 fantasy points.
Be only 2. I'm not saying it. I think it should be like 3.5 to where he's got to make more than 1-3.
I'm surprised it's not that, Tony.
Well, 2.5. All he's got to do is make 1-3.
I'm gonna bet it. All right, I'm sold. I'm in on Kleba. We're in on Kleba here. So, all right, the rest of this, Tony, Lively, Gafford. You said Gafford's a good play because he's a bad play, doing the whole,
straight millie maker. Like, if you're trying to make the optimal tonight, I think he's a terrible play. But that's why I want people to understand the difference. Like, I think Horford's a better. Derrick Jones is a much better play to me than Gafford. But I mean, Derrick Jones might be somewhat low owned too, though. Like, I think Derrick Jones at 4,600, which the chat was talking about. I think Porzingis guards him a lot, which means he's going to be wide open a lot. And do I think Derrick Jones is incredible? No, but you get minutes, you get stocks, you get wide open threes. I think he's a great play.
And Tony, you can lob to Derrick Jones. You can throw that ball up to them because that dude can dunk. So you can also you can do more than just like pick and pop with him. You know what I mean? Like, so he, especially when Kleba's out there, right, Tony? I think in those lineups where if they go small for a little bit with Kleba at the 5, you could really do those Derrick Jones pick and roll, and that middle is wide open for Derrick Jones to roll, and Luka can throw that ball right up to him for a dunk. So,
like, honestly, I think personally, and maybe I won't say this till the end. I'll save it till the end because I was going to give an overall take.
Save it till the end here. Let's talk about the bottom range, because I agree with you on Derrick Jones. I think he's one of the best value plays on the slate just overall. I think he's going to fit.
I mean, 4,600 is crazy. He's 1,400 cheaper than Al Horford.
Yeah. What sucks is he's not a volume guy. He's only going to shoot, 5-6 times probably.
Until they just leave him wide open, which they might. And he's going to also guard Tatum or Brown pretty much all the time, which sucks, right? Because he's out there more for defense probably, but that's okay. He can get there. He can find ways. But
How do you rank after that? Because I think, from Peyton Pritchard, you got Josh Green, you got Jaden Hardy, um, Luke Cornett, Maxi Kleber. Let's just throw them all in there right there. Like, how are you going about this cheap range? You said you like Dallas. Does that mean you're out on guys like Peyton Pritchard and Luke Cornett and
So
Sam Hauser?
just me personally, again, I'm playing it more aggressive tonight. People like watching our shows because we have takes. Sometimes we're right, sometimes we're wrong. But I just like these Dallas guys. And I think this series plays smaller because I just think there's no way that the Boston's going to have two bigs on the court. Hardly ever. Maybe at small minute times where they do it a little bit. But that means that these guys are all in play. Like, just say Gafford gets played off the floor, which he could in this series. Definitely possible. Lively can't play a ton of minutes, which brings Kleber in. Like, I think Kleber could be a kind of a fill for Gafford in this series. But also what I'm saying, if it goes small, you got these other four Dallas guys, Josh Green, Jaden Hardy, Exum, Hardaway, who I think are all really good plays in the cheap range. And they're not all safe because Dallas has more guys. But I am very confident that one or two of these cheap Dallas guys, of these five, goes for like double-digit fantasy points. I don't think that's even close for the Boston guys. So I want to gamble on these guys. And as good as like Jaden Hardy looked at times and Josh Green has looked at times, I have to rank them ahead of Kleber. And Exum's got a little bit of minutes, so I got to put him ahead of Hardaway. But again, in the Millie Maker, guys like Hardaway have a lot of edge because they're 2K for one. No one's going to play him. And you know what? If they need offense or something, they can always just turn to Tim Hardaway. And you just never know if he comes in and makes 4 threes or something. He's always live, more live than those Boston guys to me. So I know it's a little bit of a cop-out, but I just think these 5 Dallas guys are my cheapies. I'm getting rid of the Boston guys. And my rankings, even though it's boring, are going to be just how it is right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I want a ton of all of them, though, because I like these guys. I feel very good. I'm not very confident in who it's going to be, which I agree with being there a little too. I wouldn't be surprised if it's Exum. You could sell me on any of these 5. I'm not confident in who it's going to be, but I am confident that 2 of these guys does good.
Yeah, I will say if it's Jaden Hardy, Tony, he'll get like some of the Peyton Pritchard minutes, which I think is nice for him. If it's Dante Exum, could also get some of the Peyton Pritchard minutes. Not as much of the like Drew, Derek White together, or like Jalen, Derek White, all those guys in the same. So I agree with you though. It could be Dante Exum. Tim Hardaway could play into a series if they can't make a jump shot. You just never know how the series is going to go. And I agree that the Dallas cheapies are probably just better overall plays than the Boston cheapies. So I'm going to be under fading probably all of the Boston cheapies down here. Pritchard down, and I'm going to be high on Josh Green, Maxi Kleber, Jaden Hardy, Dante Exum, probably in that order. Because I do think Kleber could steal minutes from Gafford. I believe Lively's playing 25 minutes no matter what. I think that if anyone can handle getting stuck on Jason Tatum out on the perimeter or Jaylen Brown on the perimeter, it's Lively has to be better shot than Gafford, in my opinion. So I don't think he gets played off, but I do think Gafford could, which could lead to maxi minutes. So yeah, I'm with you on that range, and we agree on the Dallas cheapies. I think they're just better plays overall for the Millie. I do want to touch on, there was a conversation in chat. I forget who it was. Someone was talking about how to defend Luka, and someone said Boston's just going to double Luka. They doubled Mitchell. I think Mangone brought up they doubled Pascal at times in the series. We always talk about this, Tony. Like, what's the best way to guard guys like Jokic, Luka, these top tier players? And I honestly think the best thing is to constantly try and change stuff up, and so they don't settle on just this exact one thing all the time, because these guys are so great. Like Luka's so great and so smart, that he will eventually just figure you out if you just do the same thing. Like if you just play him straight up over time, he's going to win. If you just double him all game, he's going to figure it out. He's good enough to figure it out. So I don't think there is like an exact, like, you should just double Luka the whole game, or you should play him
Everyone
straight
has
up.
their
Like,
like set thing too, like just with Jokic, they always have their like way that you can do it. And the honest answer is there's nothing you can do. Just make
what's
him
funny
work,
though is
change up your coverages, and just
I thought that way too years ago. I thought like, oh yeah, for Jokic, you just you play him straight up. You know what I mean? And then he's dropping 50, and you're like, okay, maybe
he's
you don't play
dropping
him straight
70
up.
when you're putting him straight up.
You know what I mean? Maybe you don't play him straight up anymore. But I don't think there's like a right or wrong answer. I think these coaches understand how great these guys are, though.
Yeah.
And they understand that if you give a great guy the same look for too long, they're going to figure you out. So the best thing you can do is just try and confuse them a little, right, Tony? Make them think about the double, but maybe you don't send it, but maybe you send it late. Like I talked about with Jokic, that was something Minnesota did, where later in the series, the last couple of games, I noticed they started doubling Jokic after he had started to dribble. Like they would almost wait until he started to dribble, because they knew once he picked the ball up, he couldn't dribble again, right? So you almost kind of do that late hedge, wait, and then you show the double. That's just, that's stuff to change things up so they don't get comfortable with it. And I think you'll see that. I think you'll see Boston try and do a similar thing where they're going to try a bunch of stuff. It's not just going to be one thing. They're not just going to play Drew Holiday straight up on Kyrie or Luka the whole game. They're going to give different looks.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's hilarious. Brandon's just going ham in the chat. All of a sudden, Minnesota's perimeter defense just sucks, I guess. Like, Ant, McDaniels, those guys suck at defense, I guess. I mean, Jaylen Brown, the same team that got carved by Indiana is suddenly a defensive just masterpiece. Andrew Nembhard just lit this team off. Brandon, Andrew Nembhard just lit your team up. What are we talking about?
TJ McConnell had
Minnesota
good games.
had the number one defense in the league.
Yeah. Again, it's really tough because you're going to look at stats and Boston's
Not
great
much better defensively. Minnesota was number one, Brandon. Number one defense in the league.
But wait a second, though. Hold on. Boston's still a great defensive team for the defense in the league today. But we can't make them sound like they're just way better than the team that led the league pretty much all year in defensive stats and like had the best defenders.
Stats and what I'm watching, they couldn't stop Indiana. So everything Brandon has, they played down to their level. Okay, so what are we can't base it on stats and we can't base it on what we watched. What are we basing it on, Brandon? What you think?
Then what is he basing it off of?
Yeah, what are we basing it on? We can't base it on stats or what they did in the playoff.
So you're just basing it on the fact that the Celtics play down to every single team they face?
The eye test. It is the eye test. Andrew
eventually,
your eye test up.
Eventually, though, Tony, what happens when you play down to everyone? You eventually get caught.
They played down to everyone for years. They were the better team versus Golden State. Steph Curry owned them. They were the
Golden
better team
State
versus
caught
Jimmy
them.
Butler. He owned them. I mean, the same thing happens every year. Jimmy Butler owned you for 4 years.
Again, that's a great point, though, Tony. They got caught. They got caught against Miami. They got caught against Golden State. Who's to say they don't get caught here? You know what I mean? The Dallas is healthy. This is going to be, hopefully they get a full series against a healthy team, and we can see, because they got Porzingis back too, Tony. So you can't hear we didn't have Porzingis. Now they get Porzingis back. We're going to really see how good Boston is. This is these are two of the best teams in the league. This is a great matchup. Boston was the best team all year in the East for sure, maybe the best team overall. But now we're going to see it, because Boston got some cupcake matchups to get here. They had to beat Andrew Nemhard and TJ McConnell. And before that, Donovan Mitchell-less Cavs for most of that series. And before that, the Jimmy Butler-less Miami Heat. So,
and we're not even talking about Dallas knows all Porzingis' weaknesses too. Like they've seen him a lot. Like they're gonna know how to expose. I'm confident they're gonna expose Porzingis.
Well,
that's my
if
one.
that happens,
I'm very confident.
We should really like Derek Lively and PJ Washington because I think they're going to feed off of that stuff.
I mean, look, so I ran the numbers while you were talking, and the 3 Dallas guys I get, and this is the Sims. This isn't my numbers. This is the Sims based on ours, but the 3 Dallas guys are somehow the 3 guys we like besides the 2 stars. And then you get a Jaylen Brown captain, Tatum, Derek White. Like this right here is a very solid team, in my opinion. And that fades Luka and Kyrie, but you got 3 Dallas guys I like and 3 Boston guys I like, all with minutes. So, and then like another one like Derek Jones captain, where your only Boston guy is Tatum. I'm happy with these numbers where they are.
Yeah, I like that. I mean, I really like that top build that it gave you. That was interesting too. With
here's a Boston build
studs.
too, right here, where you got your only 2 Dallas guys are the guys that are going to be wide open all game, and then you got 4 good Boston pieces.
Who are your two or 3 like highest owned captains, Tony? When you ran that, who did it give you the most of? Did it give you a lot of Luka?
But PJ, Jaylen Brown, Luka, and honestly, those are probably my 3 favorite off the top of my head. So I'm happy with where those numbers are. Like you said it when I talked about PJ, but I think he's going to end up being my captain just because, for one, look at his price. I mean, he's less than half price of Luka. So that price is just awesome. And I think Dallas wins. And if Dallas wins, PJ Washington has to be good. So it's like one of those things where you're almost correlating. Like if Dallas sucks, I'm going to lose anyways.
I think like 1 or 2 of PJ, Derek Jones, and Lively have to be good. I don't think it has to be PJ, but I think it does have to be like 2 of those 3 guys have to be good for them to win. So, yeah, I mean, I'm with you. The more we talk, I'm going to play some of those mid tier. I'm going to play some PJ in the captain. I'm going to play some Lively in the captain. I won't play Derek Jones in the captain. I'll have a lot of him in the util, but I'm going to be higher on those mid tier. I like Drew Holiday too, Tony. He's probably my favorite mid tier Boston guy in the captain. So yeah, I think those 3. And then I'm gonna throw in, because I'm gonna play 3 or 4 captains tonight. I think those 3 plus either Luka or Jaylen Brown. I'm going between them as my 4th is going to be like the 4 captains I play in this Millie Maker. So
I want to let me. Oh, there it goes. Big T loves JSU loved Gordon Hayward. God, he loved him. I had to pull that up.
Why do I get
his love about Gordon?
Why do I get stuck with the dustiest player of all time now?
You did love him for a while.
I did.
You felt good about him.
I did, and he was always like mispriced after the injury, so you always got like him like way too cheap, and he would go off like every 6 games or 7 games, he'd have like 1 good game, and I'd be like, see, and then he'd suck for like 5 games in a row. And then it would just, we'd go back and forth.
It was just never the same after the injury.
Did you see they were like, who was it? Was it Presti was like, I whiffed on Gordon Hayward. Like going to get Gordon Hayward or the corpse of Gordon Hayward. But what are you going to do? Gordon Hayward, good guy. He's won me money in the past, so I can't complain too much. But all right, Tony, your 4 favorite captains, you think they'll be those 4 guys? Luka, PJ.
For sure, 100% Luka, PJ, Jaylen. My 4th would be, I don't really want Tatum captain as much. Kyrie, I don't really want. So I would say, those 3 for sure, but my 4th would be Lively or Derek Jones. I like these all pretty equal down there.
Okay, I was going to say.
I like my distributions for 150 where it's.
I feel like you're on the Derek White train more. That's just what I feel like. You didn't talk about him a ton, but I
just his price point's tough for me. I gave him a healthy projection. I just think, for him to really get there, he's going to need like 50, and I think he could get 50 in the right spot. So it's possible, but I think you're going to need a big number. And that goes for PJ too. It's not just for him, but he is 1,500 cheaper than Derek White. But
yeah, do you think like low 40s could get there for Derek White? You don't think low 40s could get there?
Derek White, I just think there's points. But yeah, I mean, if you told me, I would obviously take low 40s, but I think like low 40s for PJ, high 40s for Derek White type thing.
Yeah, that's fair. I'm with you. I'm with you though. I think it's going to be tougher for him to get there unless he's actually getting that big like 50 type game or something like that. I like Drew too. A little more.
There's gonna be I mean, there's gonna be weird stuff. People act like everything just plays exactly how it should. There's gonna be weird stuff, and it's a milli maker. There's gonna be a couple guys tonight that go off that we're not talking about right now.
Oh, and the other thing we can't really factor in, but like, what if Derek White or Drew Holiday gets in foul trouble 2 minutes into the game? Like,
it could be like a Pritchard. It just happens all the time. That's why I just keep saying it, because we have a lot of people watching. I mean, take some chances tonight. Have fun with it. Don't go in there and just run the optimal. Get creative. Try to win $1 million.
And I would say too, if you are running like the optimizer, whether you're using the Run Pure projections or any other projections that you use that aren't your own, put your own little flavor onto it.
Crank 2 guys. Pick 2 guys and crank them hard.
And maybe lower 2 guys. Maybe crank 2 guys and lower 2 guys. And run, just give it your own tweak. I will say, because if you just go in and run the dead projections of sites, including ours too, like you should still play with it and give it your own twist. Because most of you guys have your own takes. Well, lean into it, even if it's just like Tony said, 2 players. That's fine. Colton loves Maxi Kleber. All right, bump Maxi to 10. Or 11 or whatever you want to give them, and bump one other guy and just go from there. I would be doing that though, regardless.
I honestly think the best way, and this is the best showdown we've ever had at Run Pure, was when me and you did that show and we said to take 2
from the lake house. You did it from the lake house.
2 0 guys, and everyone laughed at us, and Run Pure literally won like 500,000 that night in entries.
We called the blowout.
I think it's the same rule tonight, not in the same way. And this is what I was waiting until the end of the show to talk about. But 2 of these guys, 2 of these scrubs, and you can put the Boston in there too if you want. But 2 of these guys, force them in there. 2 scrubs into that build. That's how I'm going to get different. A lot of people will play 1. I'm going to play 2.
That'll be definitely unique. So that's definitely an interesting strategy if you're trying to be unique anyways. RPS 15 is the promo code for 15% off if you want that over at Run Pure Sports. You can get the single sport packages. We got it for everything, including NBA. If you want to get in for this final run of the NBA Finals, come check us out, RPS 15. Check out all the content, the cores, the Showdown playbook, the tags, the Discord, everything. We got it over here. And again, not just NBA, single sport packages for everything from golf. Tony, big golf, tournament next week, right? It's the U.S. Open, if I believe.
Yep, U.S. Open next week. These weeks are fun. We got NBA Finals, NHL Finals. Even though I don't like NHL, I do like when the lady gave us the goods. I like that. But
yeah, that was great. I was an NHL fan for about 10 seconds. However long that video lasted, I was a fan for that 10 seconds. So
yeah, I mean, so then a couple points too from the thing. Our boy Trevor Bryan, which guys? So again, I'm going to keep saying the same thing, and usually I have rules, but do not group people out tonight. And that even goes up here where don't play Kleba and Gafford. I'm only saying this because it's a milli night. If you're playing other stuff, do it normal. But I'm just saying a weird thing like that can win you $1 million. So I'm not grouping any of that stuff away tonight. Obviously, you're not going to really get it that much. But just by doing that, it can get you different. And Gafford's rim runs get there. Kleba, Dallas could play Kleba at the 4. I don't think they will, but they could. You never know in game ones. I just be different tonight. I could just keep saying it over and over, but be different.
Appreciate you, West Coast Gem. He was about to say JSU only last 10 seconds. Appreciate that. And yeah, this show should be premium. Well, this show will be premium at certain points during this series. So if you want to run with us, RPS 15, I can't guarantee every show, but we're going to be doing shows for pretty much every game, right, Tony, until this series ends. So
every game through the finals for sure. Even the
so
weekend one Sunday.
yeah, we'll probably throw some premium. I bet Sunday will probably be premium or
Definitely premium Sunday. Yeah, absolutely premium
Sunday, and
Sunday.
then we'll probably throw a free one in there in the middle, and then another premium. So they will be premium here and there. So again, check it out. We'll have premium shows for the members. But Millie
Shout
Night,
out
Tony, we
Charlie
wanted to give it out.
Villanueva, Fly Eagles. Ooh, Charlie Villanueva for a millie tonight, baby.
That's his little brother, Mr. Walsh.
I'm still blown away. The most amazing thing I've heard the whole playoffs is that Charlie Villanueva, who I assumed was 50, was in LeBron's high school class as the number 3 guy. I'm still blown away by it.
How many times have you brought this up on shows? You've literally brought this up on shows so many times.
I can't help it. I'm literally mind blown by it. How can he be the same age as LeBron?
I mean, that just shows you how long LeBron.
Villanueva joke for like 10 years. That's how long he's been gone.
See, but this is what you do, though, Tony. You don't realize it, but you're just stroking LeBron even more with this take right here. You can't help yourself. You need to stroke LeBron at least 3 times during a video that has nothing to do with LeBron. You just find a way to stroke him.
Yeah, it is what it is.
Just saying, like, biggest LeBron stroker of all time. Suck LeBron off, why don't you? I'm on Benair's side on this one, Tony. I mean, geez, just
respect.
Why not? 10 seconds right there. Respect
greatness. It's 2024.
There's our guy Matt. Shout out to Matt in chat. Love me like you like Jared Gordon Hayward JSU.
Brandon's pushing my buttons this show. He's trying to tilt me.
Oh, come on. We love Brandon. Keep pushing his buttons, Brandon. I like it. I like when you push his buttons. Nothing actually pushes Big T's buttons, though, more than when I mention best ball. So if you have best ball contests that you're in and you draft teams, send them to Big T 44 on Twitter. He will rate your best ball.
Do it like during the finals game, too. Like
yes, please do that. Just send them over. He'll give you a rating. Nothing will tilt him more, and it will be great content for Twitter. So yeah, make sure you guys do that stuff. So, all right, that's going to do it here. Tony, before we get out of here, got to have your winner for tonight. We gave the winner for the series. Who's winning tonight, and who's going to be like your best play of the night?
A lot of series I flip back and forth. I'm going to be on Dallas all series though, unless something changes. Like unless we see something early, then maybe I flip. But I can't see myself getting off Dallas. I love Dallas. My favorite play is definitely PJ Washington. I just think it's a PJ series. And who's like a super low owned guy? Where's our ownerships? The guy that I think could win someone a millie is Exum. I think Exum has got run. I think he fits this series pretty decent. Exum's my like 4% owned guy that I think could win someone a millie.
4% owned guy. Okay. I don't mind the Exum call. I'm just trying to see if there's anyone else like low. You like Dante Exum. I mean, I just to give someone that's pretty low owned right now.
I think from Gafford down is like people that could.
I'm surprised you didn't give it out, but Al Horford, if you're fading Porzingis, I think Al Horford.
I felt like it was too easy to say Al, but I liked him.
I mean, I think he's just if he's gonna be this low, which
he's got to be low, unless he starts. Like I still think he could start, but
I don't think he could start, but. Yeah. I still think he could play close to Porzingis's minutes.
I think he could play more. Like, dude, Horford literally has like 50-point upside, and people will laugh at that.
I hate Al Horford
he just catches like a streak where he just makes everything. And
I hate Al Horford too, by the way. Like no one tilts. I hate playing Al Horford, but I do think just from a millie standpoint, I think he's a pretty good low owned play. Just to not give a cheap guy because you already gave a cheap guy, so I wanted to give someone that was a little more expensive. Can you guys go over FanDuel? Tony, have you looked at FanDuel today? I mean, I guess we
No, but I
could
mean,
pull
we
it
can
up.
pull it up in the old Saber real quick.
Pull it up real quick for the people, just to.
Let's see what the pricing is, because when we did it the one day, it went pretty good like that. So
They
we
do have a
got
$15 100K up top contest. Not bad.
yeah. I mean, I always like the FanDuel stuff for this, but so Luka, Tatum. So the price difference isn't as dramatic as it was on DK, at least eyeballing it. Drew, Derek White. So PJ, I mean, immediately sticks out to me. 9,500 is crazy for PJ. Granted, I already liked him, but still, like in that price range, everybody's way more expensive. And Gafford, I hate. And then our boy Horford. So right away, I can see the three guys I like on FanDuel: PJ, Horford, Derek Jones. I mean, Derek Jones is 8K. I mean, PJ's 9,500. I love those three. And then let's see if there's any like. So 6K is the cheapest.
Yeah, I literally think like you just gave out like the stone cold like nut build. I feel like just from talking right there, because those three guys are clearly the best like value plays, and then you just throw in like your Luka and Tatum's and mix the star or MVP like that. Those builds are so nice right there.
Yeah. I mean, I think FanDuel's pretty easy. Honestly.
I will say KP is cheaper on FanDuel than DraftKings. Like he's under Derek White and Drew. That's different on DraftKings, right, Tony?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's cheaper, but I still don't think he's cheap enough for me. But you're right, though. He's going to get more ownership, though, because everyone just plays projections still. So yes. At 10-5, like, honestly, his value, like, look at just by value, he's ranked third value on the whole slate behind Luka and Tatum.
Think about it, though. He's right next to Lively on FanDuel, whereas on DraftKings, there's like a 2K difference, isn't there?
Almost
3K. Yeah, I mean, that's a huge difference. So you're right. Like I think he's an even better fade over there if you don't like KP. Just from that standpoint alone. But yeah, I still like, you gave out like, PJ and Allen, stuff like that. I like Drew, also as well. So I'm going to be higher on Drew. Maybe you go like Luke at the top with the two Boston guards, Tony, in like the star and the pro or something like that. I don't hate that or something. I could see it being a weird day where like somehow Derek White and Drew had monster games or something like that, and Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown just did okay, but not.
That's how you win the money on FanDuel. We talked about DK. I mean, like so on FanDuel, I've solo shipped, I think, as much as anyone on FanDuel, and it might be because of crazy stuff, but like if you for some reason don't play Luka or Tatum in the top spot, you only got to beat like 2% of the field. And yeah, it's on the surface, it sounds stupid because you need the highest scoring guy. But again, what is it tonight? What'd you say? $10?
$15.
$15. Like the same example I just used on DK. I mean, if you play like Drew Holiday, Derek White, like something like that, because they've had games where they've got the most points in the 50s. Like it happens. And what if there's a blowout? What if just take some chances? Take some freaking chances tonight.
I will say, if you like Boston, I do think for the value, this isn't a terrible value pull. I saw Kyrie was like
in the playoffs than Tatum.
And I saw Kyrie, which I don't think Kyrie is gonna.
I don't like Kyrie as much as Jalen.
But Kyrie's also like he was 20-1 the last time I looked. Like I
like the price. I just
the price is very intriguing.
Luka's not the MVP if they win. But you never know. I mean, what if Kyrie hits 2-game winners and scores a bunch of points?
Yeah, what if he drops 40 2 or 3 games? Like you just never know. You know what I mean?
When Cleveland beat Golden State, everyone like talks, but Kyrie was so incredible in that series, and he hit the game winner and still had just no chance at MVP because of LeBron. But is that me like stroking LeBron again? But Kyrie was insane in that series. He had like 3 40-point games. He was so good.
Well, I got a question for you. Is Luka at that state? Is Luka at LeBron level?
Not on both sides of the ball, but
no. But I mean, I don't mean that way. I mean, like from just like you got no shot of beating. Like we all knew LeBron just like he was going to win if they won. Like
I think I have a really hard time seeing Luka not like if they're good enough to win. Luka's just got to be amazing for it to happen.
Yeah.
Like if he's not amazing, they're just not winning the series. So nothing's impossible with Kyrie. He could have 3 40-point games, hit a couple game winners, and be in there. But in 20 to 1 is a good price. So
your point still stands, though. Your point still stands that
but the odds reflect it too. So it's not like I'm like saying the craziest take ever. I mean, one guy's basically favored and the other guy's 20 to 1. So
yep.
I mean, Luka's got to be, and I think he will be amazing. I'm excited to watch him in the finals. I mean, it's going to be a fun series.
Yeah, it's going to be a really good series. I can't wait. Hopefully, it ends with a Dallas win for my bank account to recoup some of those funds from last series. But we'll see. At the end of the day, me and Tony are on Dallas. Tell us what you like. We saw a lot of Boston love in the chat, so we'll see. Tony, sharps versus squares. You're on the square side with me. I feel like this is the first time me and you have both been on the square side of like a big series.
Yeah,
I feel like you're in trouble, buddy.
Yeah,
you're in trouble.
Yeah. I haven't had a very good playoffs either, though. I'll be honest. My picks have sucked all playoffs. So take that for what it's worth.
I think I've lost one series every round. Like every round I've lost one series.
You've definitely got the best of me in a few of the matchups. A couple of my, like last series, I bet Indiana, even though I didn't think they would win. So but it is what it is. I like Minnesota. They lost. Yeah. Dallas has been one team we've both been on most of the time, though. Last series we weren't, but we still liked them.
Yep. Well, we'll see here. Boston's obviously big favorite, 6.5. Well, not big, but like solid favorites in big for series. Yeah, I mean, big enough, I guess, to say big. So, all right, we got to get our core plays up on the site. RPS 15 is the promo code for 15% off your first monthly or weekly payment over there. Come on, get Big T's cores, his whole player pool, everything, the Discord with me, him, Wiley, JBC, AP, all of us in there, Third and Schlong, talking NBA, MLB, golf. You name it, every sport, we're talking it in the Discord. Besides WNBA, that's Rubio for obvious reasons. That's him. So we'll leave that to him. But other than that, we got you covered over there. So check us out. And that's going to do it here. Hope you guys enjoyed the show. We'll be back on Sunday for the members premium show for you guys. Until then, for Big T and myself, JSU, let's run pure and hopefully someone ships a millie. Till then, we're out of here. Peace.